Alright, folks, welcome back. 欢迎大家回来。今天是第26天。It is day 26. Business as usual. HanziHero delivers on the consistency. Let's check our errors, right? We've had a couple of new shenanigans. This was a typo, right? Not R. I typed R because I was thinking of R in English, but not R in Chinese. So it's ER, not AR. Yeah. 也好 wrong tone, right? Tone 2. Yeah. No, tone 3, my bad. 也好 not 2. What was the mnemonic for that? Yoshi is in the basement. Oh, wait. Yoshi is in the basement of the electronic plant doing what? Oh, the alligator thing. Yes, the alligator thing. Yeah. My error here was I wrote to drizzle. It's drizzle. It's not necessarily an action. I did not silence the R. No, I accidentally silenced the R. It's R, right? New R. This was 2 days ago, so we're fine. I think the fine was many as opposed to stacked. This was table as opposed to desk for 2 days ago. 进来 进来 as opposed to and I made this error. To come in as opposed to enter. No. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's probably the error I made. So to come in as opposed to enter. I'm not sure if I decide to add to enter. Yes, I did. I think that's negotiable. Negotiable. Oh, it's gone. It's fine. And then external. External was my bad. 象山 象山 oh, to climb as opposed to ascend. Zao. Zai. Okay, Zai. Zao. No, Zao. Was it because of the tone? Might have been the tone. Oh, no, this was a typo because I wrote Zai, which is, yeah. This is a typo. All right. Let's get into our lesson. That's our review of our mistakes from the last 2 days. Okay. Off to our lesson.
多元
Ooh. 多元 to diverse. Ooh. That's actually pretty good. Many currency. So many currency to diverse, like diversify. If you have diverse currency investments, then you have many different types of dollars. Yeah, to diversify, diversity. I didn't think of it that way. Huh. 多元. uh, 这左这座 I'm not sure the dominant radical there ends up taking 座 but let's just say 这座城市很多人多元
这座城市很多元。
Okay, it's 座 Yeah 这座城市很多人很多元他们的文化他们的文化 that looks like yin. It's kind of like yin. So, and that reminds me of se in Japanese se. What could se be? Yo, I don't know. So that's probably yin because it's the principal radical, but we'll just say yin with tone 3. 非常多元。
他们的文化背景非常多元。他们的文化背景非常多元。他们的文化背景非常多元。
Oh, it's Jing, Beijing. That's how you spell Beijing? Oh. Beijing. Oh, that's how you do Beijing. Oh. Wow. This is Bay? Bay. What do we have Bay in? Have I used Bay before? I don't remember using this character in Mandarin yet. Jing. That makes sense. Jing is related to the bottom character, Jing. With the sun on top. Okay. That's background, so. 背景。他们的文化背景非常多元。一个多元的鞋子the heck is that 叫 no show collection
一个多元的鞋子收藏。
收藏收藏一个多元的鞋子收藏 Interesting. I have no idea which character that is supposed to be in simplified. Oh, I can kind of see it. These two strokes are simplified to the two drops. Oh no, that's pretty close. And then that stuff is connected. And then you have your bracket. That actually stays the same. Oh, actually, that might be simplified too into... Yeah, because I'm familiar with this because of Japanese. It's actually really close to Zo. Or is it Ko? Ko. I'm thinking of Reizoko. One of them. Anyways. Diverse. 多元多元
多元
多元
衣服
clothing. So we have a dress, or did they go with clothing? Oh, wait. We're doing kanji. So clothing or apparel. Clothing apparel. Yeah, clothing apparel is still clothing. Yes. Clothing, apparel, clothing. 他每天都穿衣 What does that look like? There's water, young. Oh, that's probably young. 一样的 Oh yeah, same. Yeah, 一样的衣服. Yeah, I see the dominant yang right there. And then they added 谁 and 书 or 是
他每天都穿一样的衣服。
一样的衣服。他每天都穿一样的衣服。Dirty clothing? I don't know how to say dirty. That kind of looks like Oh, that's funny. That's the character for MAKU. Oh, jeez.
肮脏的衣服。
肮脏. Oh my gosh. 안장的衣服. Yeesh. Yeah. Jeez. That'll be a while. Alright. So stressful. We haven't gotten those Wait. I haven't gotten those words yet. 衣服. Oh, I didn't realize it's 衣服. I thought it was 衣服. 衣服.
衣服。
I always thought it was 服. 衣服. Interesting. I think I messed up the tone on 服. Because I didn't think it's 服. 衣服. Huh.
小吃。
Or it was neutral. I usually think it's neutral. You're getting good with the listening and speaking, but Hanzi kills you? Ah, nonsense. You'll get it. You know? Join in the club. I'm sure you're killing it. Take them back. 小吃. 小吃. Snacks, yeah. Small eats. What's a small eat? It's a snack. I actually think small eats explain themselves too. Small eats. 这里有多 Oh, by the way, are you learning traditional or are you learning simplified? You use the reading function on Hello Chinese. Nice. They do whole stories and you can tap to see the meaning, the pinyin, stories, function. Yeah. Simplified? Yeah, I started with simplified as well. So I have a lot of HSK 1 through 3 on simplified. So now I'm like using this on traditional. So I'm guessing at the traditional characters. And it's kind of fun. The last two, the one about dirty, those are traditional characters. It has like the weird like box with the box within the box. Like that stuff doesn't exist. I did see my first Japanese kanji with that little weird box within a box thing. I don't even know the stroke order. I typically write these things, but I only write simplified, which I'll be doing a little bit later to summarize like my Duolingo Chinese stuff. So I still gotta do that for like 3 hours. My YouTube videos, I usually have them playing when you're working. Traditional is more intuitive to pick up because of the artwork used to explain the words. I can kind of see that. I don't have enough I don't have enough right now. I don't have enough traditional characters to get a little fancy about it. Oh, I see. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, you punch those kanji right back, right? And just sucker punch them back. Like I got you. 这里有多 Oh, that's Chong. Oh yeah, that's Chong. Oh yeah, that kind of makes sense too. Chong, Chong, 小吃. Chong was used to describe types. Yeah, types of language as well. So Chong. You can see it because the parental character is Zhong, sorry, Zhong. So ZHONG. Like uh 重要 would be like important, but this is third tone 3 zhong 小吃 right 中小吃
这里有多种小吃。
yeah 中小吃这里有多种小吃 many types of small snacks 这是我最喜欢的小吃 fair enough what okay so night I don't actually know what this character is. Sure. So something sure. They didn't do like like 早上 or something. Okay, so something surely 有很多好吃的小吃。
夜市里有很多好吃的小吃。
Yeah. Oh, okay. 夜市里有很多好吃的小吃。Okay. Yeah. I don't think I know if this character is simplified or traditional. Okay. 小吃
snack
小吃 Sorry, generated voices have problems with tone 1 a lot of times. You can hear it oftentimes. And HanziHero is no different. HanziHero uses the generated voice. It's really good. It's pretty I think most of the generated voices are pretty sufficient in Mandarin, at least in my opinion. But yeah, tone 1, it gets really weird sounding.
分别
分别 so parts, not parts. So other parts, apart. Yeah, don't parts. Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. So when you don't have a part, it's a part. They must be apart. Okay, separately to part, bid farewell, say goodbye. Yeah, 分别. You can even oh. Yeah. The part ways. Don't part. Pretty good. Self-explanatory. 分别. 我和姐姐分别3年了. Okay, I've been apart.
我和姐姐分别3年了。
3年了，分别3年了。Okay. 分别. With that said about the Hanzi and all that stuff, it feels so good to be able to read. Like, maybe I have a lot of emotional baggage, compared to someone who's discovering Mandarin at a later time. It's been 37 years of life before last year where I can finally read something. So it definitely has I definitely have a soft heart for even reading one character. So it's really wonderful now that I'm able to like sit here. If there's anything really gratifying for being a language learner, and then I highly encourage other people to remind themselves, if you can read like one character, that's still one more character, right? So it's a great way to remind yourself. 分别 completely illiterate, and it feels so good to be able to guess now. Did you try comprehensible input videos? That's has been how you learn most of it. Oh, I see. I haven't. My comprehensible videos are they're not designed to be comprehensible input. They're more I listen to couples. I listen to international couples. So most of the time I have already listened to videos in my past. Like my typical time I'm surrounded by Chinese most of the time. Being able to read is the thing that I'm deficient in a lot of times. So the reading has to catch up with my listening still, and this is how we're doing it. We gotta add more vocabulary to the thing. Like right now, Blair suggested a show. I'm on the second season. Mo Dao, Mo Dao Zhu Xi, Mo Dao Zhu Xi. And usually I just watch it in Chinese, like as it goes. But reading the subtitles, the Chinese subtitles, that's a whole different story. Reading the Chinese subtitles is a whole different story while they're talking. It's like, okay, well, that's usually what I'm doing right now.
好吃
Oh, 好吃? Okay, 好吃. Good eats. What do you have good eats? Obviously tasty. 我喜欢好吃的食堂 no 食物食物
我喜欢好吃的食物。
食物 That's interesting. That's the first time I seen that, and that's self-explanatory. 食べ物 right? 食べ物食物 Usually it's like 菜 right? 好吃的菜 as opposed to 食物 which actually makes sense too. Eat stuff. Eat stuff. Let's see. 这里的牛肉牛肉 What the 面 Oh, that's 面 Oh my gosh, that's 面 Mian got some extra peeps to play. 2 extra peeps. Looks like Lai and an extended nu. No, not an extended nu. It's a extended evening. A really extended evening. The heck? 这里的牛肉面很好吃。
这里的牛肉面很好吃。
Dang. That makes mean a lot more complicated. Confirmed. Japanese also simplified this, I think. 很好吃 很好吃 Okay. 好吃
好吃
好吃 Okay, just kidding. Alright. Okay. 多元 That's a typo. DUO. 分别
分别
小吃
小吃
好吃
好吃
好吃一
多元
and then 衣服
衣服
Okay. Alright, next 5 lessons. 别人 yeah, 别人 So the don't people, I usually say other. for this too. So this usually also means other or like not the existing thing. So not these people, but other people. But if we don't, people is fine. But there are a lot of other people we don't often think about, but there are a lot of other people in this world. Each one is a unique person. Don't you forget about these other people. 别人. There's also 其他人, right? 其他人. 别人说话. 别人说话. These two are traditional. 别人的东西 Oh, 别人的东西 other people's things. Fine. Okay.
别人
Whoops, I hit enter twice.
楼
Low. Multi-story building? Low? It could also mean floor, actually. I think. Pretty sure. Is that the same? Oh, I can't tell because that's probably traditional. Does it look close enough? No. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it uses the me. Yeah, they simplified it to me with O. Why does it keep saying inside main room? Oh, this thing? Oh, that's because that's the mnemonic device. So, the mnemonic device, which it'll show up soon. Two, their mnemonic device is based on for the pinyin system. It involves a main character, their position, and in their location. So this would be Legolas. Legolas is in the bakery, is in the main room of the bakery. So like in the bakery. That's how you remember Lo. And when you remember that, you have to remember what Legolas. So what is Legolas doing? What, how, why is Legolas in the main room of the bakery? It has something to do with Lo, so it has something to do with a woman, a tree, and an empress at some point, which is where we learn our new characters. Yeah. They have to introduce the components too, which the empress component is heckin' wild. So yes, Legolas with a woman, right? Kevin is the developer of this. Kevin is the main writer for the content of this app. So I usually refer to Kevin nebulously. So I'm not referring to like someone I actually know. But Kevin, his stories gets a little wild. And if I don't remember it really well, I embellish. So we'll see what his stories is. Sometimes they get a little weirdly dark. It gets like really weirdly dark. I think yesterday's took me for a spin. It was Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown was hungry, so he stuck a gun, a candy gun, in his mouth, and it shot candy in his mouth twice. And then he made a joke like, come on guys, Charlie Brown isn't that depressed. And I'm like, whoa, you need to chill out. I read it and I paused for a moment. It was written in a way he totally baited me. I read it and I paused like, dude, where are we going with this? Because it needed Charlie Brown. It needed a gun. It needed twice in it. Like I was like, and hungry. Like where are you going with this? Yeah, so sometimes it gets a little dark. So we got to keep in mind. So this component depicts a woman. Okay, so I see the woman wearing an extremely elaborate royal headdress. Oh, okay. I can see that. That's a pretty... Oh, yeah, and then you can even see the cross and maybe the pendant. And then, like, yeah, that rules. So this is because she's an empress that rules over a vast swath of lands. Try picturing an empress with elaborate royal clothing and headdress that costs more than most people ever make in their lives. I could get behind that. Oh, it's a number. Ooh. Hug. Lol. Lol. Sorry. How do you say hug in Chinese? Lol. Sorry. Okay, I'm done. Okay, basket. Lol as well. That looks like Li. So hard to make out because of that check pattern. Alright, Empress. Alright, Empress.
Lol.
Okay, so lol. Your friend who you learn with sent you a funny screenshot the other day on how the app he downloaded. Can't share screenshots here, but basically explaining Ma with the neutral tone, and the description was Ma is a woman who sounds like a howling horse when she gets angry. Oh, Ma. Which one is it explaining? Like Ma or Ma? The horse was what Ma was trying to refer to. Ah, that's good. Howling horse. Your Ma. Yeah, yeah. I love these things. I think if you're not doing this, okay, for sure. Go on. I think if you're not doing this for fun while you're learning, try it, right? I feel like it's great to encourage people to be creative while also learning. So having a smile and laugh is also part of the experience. So look, okay, so let's find out what Legolas is doing. So Legolas is inside the bakery helping the staff build. Teachers are pretty poor, so they're very happy when they find $2 coins in their pockets. Sure. Like Lao Shi. I see. I see. Oh man, teachers are always, ooh, that's a deep cut. That's a little dark. Actually, that's a little real. It hits a little hard. Hoping I used to joke the euphemism here when I was talking about it in science when we were in graduate school, when one of my colleagues mentioned that they thought getting a PhD, they were doing it because they needed a way to earn money. And the joke oftentimes is if you're in academia, you're not here to earn money. You don't teach and instruct and discover things and disseminate information for money. And the whole teachers are pretty poor. That kind of hits. That hits different. I can totally relate to the reality of that situation. Yeah, it's a very deep cut. Taisetsu, deep cut. Taisetsu. I wanted to be a teacher. I was in some capacity a teacher for some time. So here's one about Japanese taisetsu. This is how I remember taisetsu all the time. So if you think of the Chinese, it's also the same. It's a fat or a big cut. Right? It's cut in both languages. So a fat or big cut. That's a deep cut. And what's a deep cut? It's important. And taisetsu means important in Japanese. Taisetsu. And since it's tai and setsu, those both are onyomi. They're onyomi reads, so they're closer to the Chinese taisetsu. Like dai. Like tai. Right? Tai. Cut. I actually don't know what that sound is yet. Not yet. I wanted to be a teacher, like maybe either a graduate level or a undergrad teacher instructor kind of thing. I spend most of my time doing research. Hoping. Okay, so Legolas is helping the staff build a cake. Legolas somehow triggered my Google Assistant somehow. Helping the staff build a cake for the Empress. Okay, it takes the form of a multi-story building. That's a big cake that is topped by a small tree. This is because the Empress loves multi-story buildings for some reason, and suddenly the Empress walks in and declares it is insufficient. She takes Legolas' bow and uses it to destroy the multi-story building cake, and tells them all to try again or risk death. Oh, that's kind of a little upsetting. All right. Multi-story building. What else would you take? Building? Yeah, I'd probably just say building. Building's good enough. They would take building. Multi-story with an E? Hold up. Are you telling me... No. Oh, it is. That's interesting. I was not aware you can spell it with an E. It actually increased in usage too. What the heck? Huh. Oh, you spell it with an E? Multi-story with this one? Oh, I had no idea. That's interesting. I don't use multi-story very often. Might be American versus British. Oh, okay. Neat. That's really neat. I actually don't use this word very often as well. Multi-story. Learning every day. You're learning. You know, learning more. All right. 大楼楼下 yeah, upstairs, downstairs, 楼下 classroom is it like 教室楼 ne 教学 oh, they end up 教学楼 attic 坠楼 no 给楼 okay. I was like J-Lo, you know, like the top is most floor, most building or something for top, the attic. Interesting. All right. Low. Multi-story. Okay. May, yeah. May. But this is the character May, which is close enough. Blossoming tree. Dang it. Okay, so come on, Kevin. Kevin used all these characters to refer to something with a stalk in it. So you gotta keep them straight now. Extra strokes added to key, right? An extra stroke. Here represents extra branches full of blossoms. All right. Okay. I got you. Note that the top horizontal stroke is shorter than the second. Yes, because that will come into play. That will definitely come into play. What? That looks like way. Way. This is way too. Way, as in way dao. Way dao flavor or taste. May and What is this? Oh. May when it has sun. Fraction? The heck? Li? Li, I see the Li. So we have a Li under a cliff with a blossoming tree, and I don't think we have a name for that one yet. Not yet. For me, it's the of nature. Of nature is how I usually remember it. But we don't have a formal name.
May.
Okay, who's M? What is Dr. Mario doing in the EI is the beach house. Doing in the bathroom of the beach house. Mario is in the bathroom of the beach house wearing his sunshades. Okay, go on. On the counter is a picture of his younger sister. Oh, okay, where are you going with this? A young woman, okay, at the beach underneath a blossoming tree. Okay, so it, Mario's younger sister is being captured as a woman under a blossoming tree. Fair enough. Actually, Mario does not have a younger sister. I know. This is weird. But for some reason thinks this picture at the beach house is staying this at the beach house he is staying at is of his non-existent younger sister. Poor Mario. He sits there thinking about while smelling the blossoming trees that's in the corner of the beach house bathroom. Someone get Mario a sister. It is an interesting take though. Yeah, the Mario brothers do not have sisters. Intriguing. Right. 妹妹 姐妹 right 姐妹兄弟姐妹 right 兄弟 yeah 兄弟姐妹 twin sisters. I see 香人生姐妹 interesting. And oh my gosh, La Mei. Are you serious? La Mei. Hot girl. Or hot younger. Whoa. Okay. Instead of like La Nu something. Like a female something. La Mei. This has to be like informal, right? A literal hot, combining hot, it's like spicy hot younger sister. What? Okay. It has other. Hey.
May.
All right, let's go. Emperor.
别人 楼
Okay.
May.
All right. Off to the next one. Wang. Okay. Death. Yeah. So it kind of looks like a coffin with a lid on it, I guess. Oh, it's a scythe. Okay, hanging from the lid is a scythe. Oh my gosh, that's not what I was like. Death. How you gonna get death? Kind of looks like a coffin, like the first top of the coffin. Okay, death. Huh? 死 no Wang. Sorry, Wang. Death. Wang. Okay. Blind. Mang. Mang. Wang. Absurd. Top of a theme. Interesting. Death plus female. Wang. That's not king. That requires balance. Interesting. Alright. Death, right? Scythe. Just use scythe.
Wang.
Okay. Wang. So now we have death and heart put together with Walter White in the bathroom of the chapel. Alright. Walter White is in the bathroom of the chapel, washing his hands after praying to death to forget all of his horrible things he has done. Topical. Lore accurate. Death sneaks up behind him and touches his scythe to Walter's heart. Suddenly, Walter is back to his old self and only wants to teach people. And is no longer always thinking about meth. I don't think he always thinks about meth, but things related to it. Sometimes it is good to forget. However, he always forget how to zip up his fly. Okay. Alright, Kevin. Alright, Kevin. 忘记 unforgettable 难忘 Somebody sat down and wrote these. I know, right? Kevin did. Yeah, Kevin. He's a little goober. He's a little goober that learned Mandarin in the last couple years and then moved to Taiwan. I don't know how many couple years, but let's see. To forget one. Soul, one Dao. Yeah, one Dao. To never forget. 从来不忘. No. 年年念念不忘. Interesting. 念念不忘. I just use never, like 从来, which is never, but not in this case. That's the only phrase I know. 念念, interesting. I almost want to make a 念念 joke. 念念不忘. Okay. Wang.
Cai.
Hi, there's Chai. Bleats? Oh, I can kind of see. Oh, we have Casper. Nice.
Ci.
Casper is our new main character. Nice. Yeah, it's more like Ci. So we're just gonna call him Tisper. Casper. That's really hard to say. Casper also begins with C as we chose to represent, but the initial was different. Yeah, fair enough. So, Casper the Friendly Ghost is a friendly ghost known for wanting to be friends with people instead of scaring them. I'm curious when we're gonna see a Casper reboot at some time. It's been some time since Casper been around in social media. Like 厕所, no, measure. 草, that's grass. 草. 七 no 刺 thorn. Interesting. Oh, this is like the top of Murasaki and or anything related to Murasaki, which carries the that ends up when you add thread, it becomes 子 and then 刺 I like. So okay.
吃
Cleats. It kind of looks like cleats. No need. Shoes with spikes. The bottom of the shoes have spikes. Cleats. Self-explanatory. Pluck. Tie. Tie. Oh, to pick. Which pick do I have? I have Tuan. Tuan. Tuan something. Tuanze. Tuanzhi. Tuanzi. Yeah, Shuang. No, it's Shuang. Shuangzhi. Shuangzhe. Shuangzhe. To choose. Shuangzhe. No. Shuangzhi. Shuangzhi. No. What is it? Shuang. Yeah? Hold. Oh, not BH. Z. Shuangzhe. Shuangzhe. To pick. Interesting. I wonder which pick is this? Show. Confer. Alright. Cleats.
Tsai.
Beats. Tsai. What is Casper doing in the bathroom of the high school? Scaring little kids? Yes. Casper is in the bathroom of the... Oh, wait. Make friends. Casper is in the bathroom of the abandoned high school where he has a makeshift vegetable garden. There's a large tree, gotcha, growing out of the bathroom tile, and each urinal is filled with flowers. Casper takes a pair of old abandoned cleats and bangs them against the tree. A bunch of vegetables fall down, passing right through his body. The heck? Oh my gosh. Alright. That is certainly a memorable scene. Growing makeshift vegetable garden in the high school bathroom. Alright. Tai. Tai. Qing. Jing. Jing chai. Qing. Oh, Qing chai. Qing. Qing chai. Cut veggies. Oh. Cui. Che. Che cai. Oh, Che is the read on that character. Okay, I didn't get that character yet. Che. Che. Yeah, Che. Che Chai. Che Chai. Oh, yeah. Xiang. Oh, okay. So they basically just threw away the left radical for the simplified version. Xian Chai. Or salted. Xian is just... Let's just drop the left radical. And then Shu Chai. Shu is still the same. Yeah. Shu is still the same. Okay. Hi.
Tsai.
Vegetables. Okay. Yeah. Long.
Wang. Tsai.
What's in it? You don't need it.
吃
Okay. Last batch of lessons. 左 左 leftist. Okay. How do you explain leftist to me? We have an armpit and a crossbeam. Under the leftist armpit is a crossbeam representing his love for the labor class. Oh man, that... Okay, the leftist is often seen wearing a red shirt with a hammer and sickle. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. We need to calm down here. Whoa. As well with a pocket edition of the Communist Manifesto. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is getting a little hot. This is a little too hot for me. That is a really, really... Wow. Sway. Meryl. Sway. Door. 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 Jeez.
左
Boy. Boy, howdy. Boy, howdy. Alright, so what is Zeus doing in the office building? In the basement of the office building. Where he works, right? We are aware. He is wearing a strange outfit that is half suit and tie and half toga on a quest for some old files. To his left is his colleague, a leftist. They go up to a pair of file boxes, and his colleague said, "I'll naturally take the left one." Okay, that's a pun. A literal left preference. Alright. Alright. Scaled it back a little bit. Approximately. Left and right. Yeah. 左右左右左右手左右手 whoops. Keep making compatible assistance. Interesting. 左右手左 port side 左川左先左贤左贤左贤 I've seen you before. 左派左派左派 left side. Is that Bien? Ain't no way that's Bien. It looks like a white box. 左边 Oh my goodness. What? I keep forgetting. Yeah, the bottom radical is the remainder of the simplified radical. I keep forgetting that. And look at that. Look at that character. Do you smell it? Yeah, you get rid of the top two radicals, and then you get Bien as a simplified. 左
左
肉
肉
A hood instead of a forehead? Oh no, wait, that's a head, right? Wanikani was a head. And then roll is roll. Okay. Guess they're covering both the components. So hood. It kind of looks like a hood or a head. Boxy head, because there are no circles. Nai. Nei. Sorry, nei. Nai is Japanese. Nei. Salesman. Xiang. Xiang. Okay. Xiang. Right. Xiang. Like, Xiangdian would be like a shop or a mall. Mall, I think. Xiangdian. Oh. Store. Whichever. A place that sells things. So, Xiang makes sense. Collar. That has nay in it. Is it still nay? Nah. Of course it's nah. Of course I don't know that. Red. Is that's no way. No way that's Hong. Dan. Okay. Okay. I was about to say, if that's Hong, I don't understand how they simplified at all. To collapse. Sure. So there's sun. There's C. There's D. To collapse. No idea. Okay. Don't question the process. Hood. Roll. Two people. So a person with a hood, okay, comes out to you. Curious who they are. You take off the hood only to find a giant hunk of roll where their face should be, where their meat is. What? Another person comes up also wearing a hood. Yep, underneath is the same, just a cut of meat. I feel like there's a lewd innuendo in here somewhere, but all right. Rotten. Interesting. Cool. Limp. Tre. Tre. Huh. It's okay. We have no problems remembering Ro. All right, Robin Hood. What are you doing in the bathroom of the bakery? Where he works as a baker's assistant. He is currently washing off a piece of meat that he accidentally dropped on the ground. Okay. That's fine. That was pretty tame. Human body. Roll. Oh, I was gonna say like roll xing, but it's something else. Roll something. Roll T. Ain't no way. And like Shun T, there ain't no way that's T. That is ridiculous. We'll see. When we get body like Shun T. Good luck with the rest. You gotta clock out. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Good luck. Good luck with everything. Thank you for chilling. Shun T. Oh, roll tea. Oh my gosh, so big. Smoked meat. I don't know how to spell it. Ying? No. Shen rou. Yang rou. Right, mutton. Roll. Oh, meat. What do you add? Roll. Rice. What reminds me of Inu. We're not going to talk about that. And then shellfish with a leaf on top. Beef stew. Twin roll. Twin roll. Okay. Roll. Okie dokie. Left this dang.
左肉
All right. Let's hop into our reviews. Got 69 of them. Let's go. Okay.
有名
Jimmy Neutron in the bathroom of yes.
想见
啊！想见 want to see. Oh, to think. Oh, yeah, forgot. To think to see. Right, they're using to think instead of want.
明白。
Okay. Was George GU or is it G? Oh no. It was G. Oh wait, no it wasn't. It's Z ZH. Right, because there's no G. Right. 对，最好。
最好。再见。
See you later is fine too. Yeah.
搬。
So the mnemonic was Bart was outside dropping scepters, right, off of a slide and hitting the pawn shop. But it's still class. So I guess he was teaching his class. Bad form, I guess. Someone was in the basement. Someone was in the basement making sure the standards for Turkey. No. Was it? Spread. That's definitely standard, right? Who was it, though? I don't actually know. I don't know this one. Oh, it was George. That's why it's not. Yeah, that's why it's not clicking with me. Because I completely forgot about George. So George is the problem. Because they don't. It's too far away. Yeah, I remember the rest of the mnemonic, but it didn't help me with forgetting. I forgot about George. Just period. Okay. I didn't remember what the initial was.
风水。
What the heck was the horn for? Oh.
白天，准，
That's yours mnemonic, right? So Napoleon? No. That's not Napoleon. James Bond. Sorry. James Bond was in the basement of the bakery, finding the halberd and some severed fingers. Yes.
找，
That's what I got mixed up. Okay.
闷，
Scepter. Gotta refrain from typing king by reflex.
进来，
Whoops.
下午， 开车， 生日， 小朋友， 差， 猪，
Yep.
早， 下山， 明， 坐，
Okay. Got some returning stuff now. Uh-oh.
方， 疼，
Did this change at all? Oh no, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, this did change. Ah, that's a typo. Don't worry.
3， 5， 打开， 西北，而
Okay.
文明，
Thank you, Civilization. The game, Civilization.
水果，车上，中间，
Okay. I didn't know they took middle or center.
中文，看来，
Oh no. I'm not sure how they Okay. Okay.
出来，
Ah! Oh, that's T, yeah. Whoops. That's a go for. D, right? Yes.
低， 看见，
Yeah, see, this one is not good. I'm gonna add to meet. Hanjian is also meet. To see someone. Hanjian. Um...
再生，
Okay.
七月，
I wrote to see at first, but it was a toss-up. To see or to meet. It's both. Usually.
电， 本来，
本来
一，
Guess we just go with clothing again. Okay.
二， 底
Huh. I want to say to compare, but I don't know what else it could be. Oh, okay.
中午
This one was crust instead of bed. Was this a pen or brush? Oh no. um This looks like a pen. What did brush look? Okay.
多
Is this silent? Yes.
儿子
儿子 this is still many.
果
Ooh. Chucky is just C, right? Or is it CHU? Oh no! Okay, it's not CH, but is it CHU? C! Who is C? Oh, we just got C. Casper. CHU.
出
CH is Charlie Brown. Okay. That was the process of elimination. That's kind of weak. Wait, was this supposed to be a compass? Yes. That one's a bit of a stretch. Oh.
修大
I'm gonna use strike, but it's probably to hit. Let's try to hit. Dang it, it's strike. Okay, we're gonna write to hit as well. I disagree with this too. It's both to hit and strike. Yeah. Screw you. uh
公
Okay. Yeah, I have some. We're fleshing out some synonyms here. There's definitely a lot of word choices that too much overlap. Okay, so let's do our thing. And we're running low on time because of our digression today. So I think we'll still get the 15 constructs done. It's gonna be a lot later, and then tomorrow's gonna be tomorrow's gonna be a pretty tight day then. Alrighty, so we have Casper. Casper. And heckin' George Costanza. Oh, I would have taken Curious George. No, it's fine. Empress. Death. Fleets. Hood. Blossoming tree. We'll just put blossom. Meat. And leftist. Okay. Let's write the read. The heck was... So what? The Emperor... Oh. So... Legolas in the bakery making a multi-story building cake with the tree for the Empress. Oh, we're supposed to go over that. It's fine. May. Wang. Hi. Hi. Whoops. 做肉 and 卷 okay, and then it's kind of weird that the word group changed. Intriguing, the word group changed. 想见 看见 说说什么多元小吃好吃衣服别人分别 okay. So let's compose these. So we have Legos is inside the bakery. Building a cake for the Empress, which is constructed out of a multi-story building with a tree. Okay. Mario is in the bathroom of the beach house, looking at a picture of a woman under the blossom tree. Big fictitious younger sister. Wang. Walter White is in the bathroom of the chapel, wanting to forget his wrongdoings. So death tapped his sickle on his heart. Make him forget. Then we have Casper, the new cat. Casper is in the bathroom of the high school making a veggie garden using cleats, of all things, to stir the trees to liberate some veggies. Cleats along with a tree. Veggies from trees. Okay. And then flowers, right? Plus flowers. There's Casper. And vegetable garden. And we have Zeus. Zeus in the basement of the office building. Doing what? Zeus is in the basement of the office building. With his friend, the leftist. Taking the left aisle, right? Of work. That one's a little rough. Roll. R. Robin Hood? Robin Hood. It's in the bathroom of the bakery? No. Is that Robin Hood? I guess. In the bakery. Preparing meat. Oh, he dropped the meat. He's just trying to wash it or something. It had something weird going on in it. Yeah, Robin Hood checks out, right? And then we have George. Heckin' George. George is in the basement of the infirmary. Checking on the turkey standards. Oh, wait. The one with Walter White also had... Oh, no. The hood is used to describe the meat. Yes. So this spray because of the saliva. And also the turkey. And the chapel on the Red Cross of the infirmary. Okay. And then we made a couple errors. What were they? Let's get the red ones first. Actually, let's go by order. So sound, right? Sound, we have not our we have George. George is a problem. George. Then for the red stuff, we're fine with Zelda in the basement of the barn. How did I miss Da? Oh, Da, I disagree, but we'll just write it here. Is to strike. Although we're probably not going to have that because I can say to hit now. So to strike. Right. And the other one that we did miss is the standard. Standard was saliva, turkey, cross. Right. So standard. And this is George in the basement of the infirmary. Right. Whoops. Jen. And now for... How did I get... Shang. Oh, that's a set, climb. Lai Lai. That's before. Ying Lai before. UR before. Oh, T, that's fine. T. There was one. Oh, 像, so 看见, 看见, 像, 相见, 想见, 想见,想见, to infer. I gotta think. The key word is think. Think to see. No, the other way around. See. I think that's a little more useful. And then 看见. And that's to see. Which I think that's a double. So one is to look at, and then the other one is still to see. What did I define this as? Yeah, to see. It's still to see. All right. Do I need to go over these bottom ones? Yeah. Oh, that would cover this stuff too. The study's going pretty well. We're about to start our Duolingo review, second day review. So we'll just be writing a bunch of stuff soon. We're kind of behind because I have 1 hour till maybe a little less. We have like 2.5 to 3 hours of writing. 想见 想见 is to refer, to infer. To infer. See. 看见 多元 diverse. 小吃 snack. 好吃 tasty. 衣服 people, clothing. 别人, other people. Did I always have the streaming format? I do. It generally, generally 3 is a stretch goal. 3 is typically the stretch goal. However, I was doing 2 new things at once. Generally, I would do a stretch goal. The 3rd stretch goal typically is something new and infrequent. And then I do 2 on average. However, since I was doing 2 new things at once, it was difficult to plan the 3rd one. Now that these are regular, I can do a stretch goal. The 3rd slot is video games and other things as well. And Duolingo is in the 3rd slot because the Japanese Duolingo course is not complete yet. And when we get into it, we probably have to redistribute it at some point. Duolingo Spanish is going to be then the standardized 3rd rotation. And then there's going to be a 4th slot stretch. So we might have to reduce both of these loads, the HanziHero and the Wanikani load, unless I'm going like super hard or something. I haven't gone fast. The main goal is either, really. Either. It's to teach about how to stay consistent, or it's teaching by example. So it's basically the thing that people don't qualify as teaching. Apart. That's the really ironic thing about most of this. Ironic from a perspective standpoint. For example, Duolingo doesn't teach language. That's why most people don't think Duolingo is teaching. And usually most people wouldn't consider what I'm doing as a form of teaching. Right, because you're learning by example. So no one is literally telling you these things. And most of the time, I would agree if you choose not to learn anything, right? So whenever they talk about language learning, a lot of times, explicit instructions is considered teaching. It's not considered teaching when you're observing something and learning something from it, which is interesting. I think this is a perspective that I have come to embellish with my experience. As in, I use the stance that observation is not a form of teaching, or like understanding examples is no longer a form of teaching. Like problem solving is not a form of teaching, which is very interesting if you think about it. I think the post-internet has normalized that. Instructional material is the default for teaching. Like using the Socratic method is not a form of teaching. If you ask the correct questions, that does not teach someone anything. Because the answer comes from within. And I think it kind of cheapens what I'm doing. But at the same time, I have to understand that that is the usual perception about it. So when you're learning a language, the stuff that people think that teaches you things is if it's explained to you. Which do you think is more effective for gaining knowledge? Both. You can do both at the same time. Obviously, it's a cop-out answer, but generally speaking, it's both. If you were to ask me to pick a choice, like a choice, obviously, this is also a cop-out answer, is you start with whatever you're most practiced in. So if you're most practiced, for me specifically, both. Generally both. It's a combination of both. However, the instruction material, the instruction material would deal with problem solving. So it requires active participation. If I don't have active participation, then I make it an active participation. Hence why my Wanikani sessions and HanziHero sections deal with reading content and then thinking about it. And then there's the passive part, right? The passive part is something I haven't done in a long while. Wanikani, when I'm typing the answers, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything out loud. I'm not thinking out loud because it would take way too long. And that's kind of to illustrate what type of learning that people are more used to nowadays. They don't actively participate anymore. They're triggered. Like, not triggered in the sense of, you know, you're triggering someone. The memory, the recall is triggered by something. It in order to learn something else has to trigger that person's memory. So like that example I used about the guy with the Korean interest and then said that Duolingo doesn't teach them anything. It doesn't teach grammar. It has all the wrong pronunciation. Everything's off. Like, that person kept saying all of it is, and that's not true. That's just plainly not true. Some of it might be, but the idea is that that person is completely dependent on the tool. If the tool is not 100% accurate, then they themselves cannot contribute nor participate in it, right? So, like, if I notice an error in HanziHero and Wanikani, I am more inclined to participate in it. And that problem solving makes it more effective overall. Now, Wanikani and HanziHero is not designed to do that. It is not designed to encourage active problem solving. It's not necessarily the appeal as well. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. By design, they are not going to do that. So I have to do that, right? They can tell you where the mistakes are, right? You can scroll down and say, oh, here are your mistakes. What do you want to do? Review the exact same thing, right? Because it's due exposure. It's effectively, the mnemonic is supposed to offset the rote memory that's required, but the mnemonic itself also requires rote memory issues. So how do you solve these mistakes? I do my own thing. Oftentimes, this is like a mandatory thing for some people, right? They don't want to keep track of the mistakes that they made. They don't want to refine the stuff that they want to make, even though this keeps track. But when you hit this review button, it's the same exercise. It's brute forcing what doesn't work yet, right? So it's mere exposure. So this would be the former rather than the latter, which is to be instructed on something and then you pound it into your head until the instruction sticks, as opposed to, oh, I made a mistake once. All right, let's add something to it. Make it twice. Let's add something. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I didn't get it the first time, maybe because I wasn't paying attention, which is usually the case, but I do it a second time. If it comes up again, then I'll add something. If it comes up a third time, I'll add something again, right? And the ones that will stick with me the longest and probably efficacious is the one where I typically have placed in the most work. It's not the most efficient though. As you have asked, what is the most effective for gaining knowledge? The efficacy deals with active participation. So if I'm getting a lot of things right, I actively participate to gauge my activity on things that I'm getting right. If I'm getting things wrong, then it naturally causes me to solve the problem. So this is where that whole hard thing comes in, right? Is it hard when I make mistakes? I don't wait until I determine if it's easy or hard before expecting mistakes. I do the best I can knowing this will happen. As in, like, when someone says, oh yeah, this language is too easy, or it could be too easy for me, or it needs to be hard enough so I can make mistakes, like, it's neither for me. If mistakes occur, I will try to, I will be active in problem solving. If mistakes don't occur, I will still be active, participating somehow. This is me, like, this writing thing is me actively participating in it, as opposed to hitting that button again and getting triggered, and, you know, my memories getting triggered over and over again. It's got to be something active. So I combine both of them. At the beginning and at the end, I'm doing something that's active. And that's to reinforce the memory, actually. So the knowledge is gained because it's instructive, right? Here's the new vocabulary word. Good luck. Here's a little bit of a mnemonic that help you. If it doesn't help you, fix it or like add to it. You don't even need to like pay attention to it if you can create a whole new one if you want, right? And that's the tough part. That's the tough part to talk about with other people. Like, am I wasting my time doing this and doing this? I don't. It won't look the same for everyone, right? This is the component that is active. So if I ask someone, do this, it will not look like this. It will very, very unlikely to look like this. It's irreproducible most of the time, unless someone thinks exactly the same as another person. So you're doing something extra with all the information, regardless of what it is. Like, it's kind of like when you read a book and a teacher asks you to summarize it in your own words, right? That is what I'm doing. Only I'm doing it in an organized, like, there's not a lot to create off of, right? If I had the time, I'd probably write a story with all of these, which is what I do for construct building for Duolingo, which takes a very long time to organize it in that way. So instead, me and Wanikani and HanziHero, I'm doing an abbreviated version for now. And then in the future, maybe not. It's largely time at this point to be able to do all this. Do you know if it's better to be feeling a certain emotion when studying? It is very, like, it's kind of dangerous, right? Or what I mean is, it's fickle. Emotions is quite fickle. For me, I think my only cautious conservative remark about feeling while studying is, if you're choosing to do this, the sky is the limit. But also the pit is quite deep. If this is required, right? If you're doing this, if you feel like this is required, as in, oh, your life can't be happy without this, then usually limiting emotions can help with consistency, right? When you're choosing to do this, it's so varied. For me, I try to illustrate that is, when it comes to emotions, that emotions is elicited from curiosity. It's usually from curiosity. So curiosity, I don't know if you qualify that as an emotion, but excitement, right? Excitement that breeds from curiosity, and sentimentalism and importance, right? Importance come from sentimentalism a lot of times. So if you choose to do something, if you're not actively excited or have a sentimental attachment to its importance, rarely is it consistent enough voluntarily, right? Largely because you're lacking, we're going back to like innate and learned obligations, right? So if this is voluntary, you're choosing to learn a language because you don't need it, right? You're choosing to voluntarily learn a language out of a hobby. You already lack something to obligate yourself to do so. There's no obligation. So in my opinion, when it comes to emotions, in order to learn an obligation, one has to invest in an emotion that allows them to consistently be enthusiastic. And that's where Duolingo shines. Duolingo at the expense. Duolingo is at the expense of everything else. They want you to feel excited, right? Get that 1-day streak. They want you to be sentimental, attached to your 1-day streak, like your streak. And then that comes with importance. Now, it's a double edge, though, right? It's a double edge because you have the motivation now, and that's a hard step. That's a really hard step to be consistent. So the question is now, how consistent are you? Like, where is the efficacy, right? The efficiency and consistency. Duolingo solves the puzzle of the consistency issue. Now, because they invest so much into this, it's very difficult to turn that consistency and attack the consistency, because what reduces consistency is making the thing more unapproachable. What is unapproachable? You increase the difficulty, right? Because the difficulty is proportionate to your active participation, or a force in your active participation, which produces rewards, right? If something is incredibly approachable, it's doing everything to make it seem like this isn't so bad, it's very easy, then you aren't working very hard, right? You're not encouraged to work hard. And the system itself is not designed to make it so hard that you don't ever come back. So then it deals with the scalability, right? And this is where I feel that's very reasonable to criticize Duolingo. Scalability is not there, largely because Duolingo is a static product. It doesn't adapt. That's where SRS may shine, because SRS can have scalability. It's actually more like scalability in case things are too overwhelming most of the time, right? It removes the need to figure out, maybe I should add more words, maybe I should add less words. So the scalability is a little bit better. And Anki expanded on this. Now they have FSRS, which is more flexible. F being, I guess, free. So then you have even more customizability of how much load you're taking in. So that's what they're trying to solve. Do something you only half know. Like, the half you know will create a feeling of safety and ease. The remaining half will be challenged to motivate you. I do sufficiency for myself. Once I get my foot through the door and I can envision consistency. So like after a month's trial, if I'm consistent, I push to the point it's not consistent anymore. Like, what I mean is, I get to the barrier where I need to be on my A game to be consistent again. So like at the brink of consistency. So if today I didn't feel like I'm really exhausted, as in I have a slight twinge, like, oh, I don't know if I can keep this up, then I'm not pushing hard enough to get reward, but I didn't push too hard for me to never come back tomorrow, right? And it's a day by day, 30 days by 30 days. Some people do the same routine for 30 days, see what happens. In the fitness group, I don't know if anyone's into fitness here, but progressive overload would be another great example. Progressive overload. I tend to keep myself near my max, whatever that is. So it takes a while to adjust. So I started with 2 new things this time, right? Wanikani, and then a week after I did HanziHero. So I have no way of gauging where my amount is, where I would draw the line. So, and then I'm adding more things in the end. So I'm trying to conclude things and then iron them out. And then once I established what is consistent, I continue to push until I can no longer push anymore, and I stop there and go back a little, right? You're always near your max, and you're always trying your hardest actively to gain the rewards, so you do not become complacent. When you're complacent, it's like lifting the same weight for years and years. You'll be really, really consistent because you already went through the door, right? If you establish that you can consistently lift this weight and you do it the whole time, it'll be diminished return, but you can do it all the time. It'll be fantastic. It's passive, and as long as that meets your goal, great. For myself, in order to get a balance between keeping myself active, because I'm always solving something, and not this is what I do. And you might be thinking, well, you don't make a lot of Japanese or Mandarin works, but I need to schedule things. So I'm constantly tired, gotta schedule, gotta plan stuff. All this stuff makes me invested in my learning. It's holistic. So when you're presenting problems that you can manage, you are also managing and learning those problems. You mean your motivation will go up and down like a sinusoidal graph, right? And what we do is maintain the habit. Yeah. So, like for example, when it comes to motivation, right? Motivation, I think there are some forces. Let's think about forces. If your motivation is set, how did you find your fitness? Okay. Hold up. Okay, if you're missing one of those, do you think it's just affects consistency of learning or effectiveness as well? It's difficult to compartmentalize them. I think it's all of the above. It's holistic when it comes to these things. For me, because I don't know enough to differentiate them. Do you have many of any fundamental ought statements? That is the very base foundation of how I approach life. Ought to? Let me think about that for a moment. You always lift the weights to near exhaustion each set. Yeah, near fatigue. And how did you find your fitness grow over time? Like, did you find an increase linear or logarithmic or exponential? It's usually like asymptotal, right? Fitness, most skills are like this, right? And for me, for fitness, when I'm doing it, when I reach like about here, like 80%, I stay at maintenance. I just maintain them. I don't progressive overload anymore. For the majority of my fitness, I've reached a fitness thing where I use maintenance. So in reality, it's more like slightly dipping as I grow older. But what's happening is I'm basically mitigating aging. Like some of the things I increase a little bit of activity over time because my body is also aging. It requires more activity, but I'm no longer building fitness for performance. It's largely for maintenance. And going back to the maintaining habit thing. So if motivation, right? If motivation is on the Y scale, right? We're starting at 0. A lot of times when you enter something, there's a basal motivation. We'll just call this 10, whatever you're entering. So this is your motivation. I'm going to say a lot of times the motivation curve kind of looks like this. for most people. And what does I'm highlighting like 3 specific features. When you enter, it's usually through the door. So you're already through the door, and that requires a certain motivation, right? If it's at 0, there's no chance you're going to start it. Right? So we're assuming someone has enough delta to even start the process. So this is what Duolingo does. Duolingo is like, okay, we need to motivate you to step through the door in the first place. Like, well, here's a lot of people goofing around on Duolingo. You build your motivation intrinsically through the exposure to Duolingo, right? So you already have some motivation before you go through the door. Otherwise, you wouldn't get through the door in the first place. And then this is the phase called beginner gains. It's the honeymoon period, beginner phase, which is very aligned. It's also very aligned with fitness a lot of times, where you intellectually see a traumatic change, right? Traumatic change. And that's usually comparing a 0 position to any number greater than 0, right? Any number greater than 0 is gigantic. So if you learned 10 words in this span of time, it's undefined, infinitely higher than your starting position, right? And that boosts motivation. This beginner phase, the honeymoon period, is gigantic, right? It goes up. So your motivation goes up. Now you enter the efficacy phase. This is like where you start, not even efficacy, actually. This is like the refinement. Some refinement. Some people do refinement here. And or your practiced phase. So where you're practicing, you're ironing out the efficiency, so you're becoming more and more efficient, right? Efficiency is going up. But your motivation is slowly falling down because it's normal. Things are being samey. You're actually working less. Over time, if you do the same thing, right, over the course of time, you're doing less work. That's how you become more efficient. You use less time to achieve the same amount of work. Now, some people do refinement by increasing the amount of practice. So if you were doing 100 words, say you finally got to 100 words, right, a day or something, 100 words a month, then in order to reach that same like satisfaction or efficacy to make up for the work, so you have a lot more time, you do the same thing, even higher. So then you'd be like doing, around here, you're doing 200 words a month, then 400 words a month. But the problem with that is you're scaling up on the same thing. That is like eating sugar, and then you need more sugar. So the solution is to eat more sugar, and then eat more sugar. Eventually you'll be desensitized. And that, in my opinion, is also analogous to intellectual complacency. Things will feel same. So your motivation is going to start to slack down. But that's fine, because in this process, most people can sell you a method. If this method gets you to your goal, right? By the end of this, before it dips, if the method is efficient enough, which most people try to sell you a method that's efficient enough, before you get bored and complacent, you hope that the method gets you to your goal. Then you don't have to worry about the rest, right? What happens here? Because we're about to enter the valley of despair. This is the beginning of the valley of despair for specialized skills, right? Then you get to the point where you hit diminished return, where your motivation dips below the necessary entry point to be consistent. So you have to at least maintain a level of consistency in motivation. But because you haven't changed the way you practiced, you are swarmed and you lost all your time, right? You're constantly studying. Like some people say, it just feels like I'm 24/7 on Anki. The volume is so high, I can't manage it anymore, right? Then it spirals into no motivation whatsoever. Your motivation just catastrophically fails. And then you ask yourself, are you dependent on this? And some people continue. Actually, a lot of people continue. And now it's no longer about motivation. It's about grit, grind, and unhappiness. Unhappiness breeds into cynicism, nihilism, where you start saying like, you know, I learned 10 new words today, but I mean, I learned like 10,000 words. 10 words is like nothing, right? Like it's a drop in the bucket. Like I spent 5 years. What's another 10 days? It's not a big deal anymore. I may never become fluent because I already spent 5 years and it doesn't feel like it's ever moving. These are the types of things that rope in. So what happens, like, where do you go from here, right? Oftentimes, stepping away. Stepping away, what does that do? It desensitizes you to the routine. You can try another way. Try another way. And what happens is it resets this. So instead of getting into this period, I stagger activities so that I continue to stay here. I continue to stay here. And when I learn new things, I use the new things and combine them together. So I combine my talking, this like whatever the streaming thing you call, like these questions, answering these questions. These are things that keep me motivated. They're breaking up my occasional focus, right? So my focus is divided, but they're divided intentionally. I know that I'm dividing my attention here, but it also serves as an investment in another skill while I could be bogged down by another skill. So I think the reason why, in my opinion, this is my opinion, why the vast majority of people that I see over time is here, and they don't see the rest of the curve, is something that is not fair, and that's life experiences. One of the I'm going to say almost self-correcting oftentimes self-correcting ways of getting out of this here is to be committed to a career that's filled with innate obligations, where you have to solution develop to a form, and this is mastery. The moment you peek out of the valley of despair is an enlightened. So this is the enlightened position. And those are the skills that no matter how you look at it anymore, it can't ever sap away your motivation. So what is that skill to me? My skill is learning and empathy. As long as I'm empathizing or trying to understand something about language learning, this is my source of motivation. It's not dependent on how effective HanziHero is. I don't need to be dependent on something else that's unpredictable. So most of my motivation is compensated. by my other interests, the skills that I have developed. So oftentimes when people say, how do you stop being depressed, right? Or how do you find sources of ways to be proactive and whatnot? Oftentimes that's where you hear that little thing where, does anything work right now? What works? And you hope, like in my opinion, I hope all the time when I ask this question that that person will be like, you know what? I do have 4 or 5 things that I've used all of my life, and no matter what happens, it brings me motivation, or it brings me joy, or it brings me happiness. It's the foundation of your, I use happy dollars. It's the happy dollars. That's where your passive income comes from, right? So for me, it's learning. If I get to explain something, it brings great joy. So today, I would most definitely do all of the talk that I've done again today, over and over again. And regardless of how much volume I have, I will probably complete it in a timely manner. So that's kind of the idea. And I would love that, to say that people need to be patient, and they end up being patient for this thing, but where I have to be sensitive enough that not everyone got this opportunity, right? Like, for example, if you chose the career with no demand, it is a very, very different way. That means you have to create all the obligation yourself in order to seek a skill that has no, like, there's no form of reference to provide more motivation. Like, you can't get out, like, and no one cares and whatnot, right? That kind of thing it's incredible. So when you think of internet skills, like someone said, I got good at doing this, but no one asked for it, right? That is absolutely incredible. No, that person required to obligate themselves to doing that. So that person, regardless of what they do, anything else they do, it would pale in comparison to that. So, in my opinion, school was supposed to try to simulate that in some way. Like, they're obligating you to do something that you basically, as a kid, we've been there. At least I would like to say 99% of people have been there. When, as a kid, when you lack wisdom, right, yet, because you haven't grown old enough, you can't see the point. Can't see the point of any of it. The things that aren't related to you. I can say the same. Like, why did I need to know? See, all the things I've forgotten are all the things as a kid was pointless, quote unquote pointless. Yet I needed to learn them, and I needed to be successful at it. So that wisdom came with the idea that if I can learn something that I don't care about, and I am very, very disinterested in it, what happens when you give me something I'm interested in? So when someone asks, is Chinese easy or hard? My response from this is, everything I don't care about is hard. If I'm choosing to do something now, it's irrelevant what anyone says, or it's irrelevant what I say. If you choose to do something, I am assuming, I'm presuming, or largely assuming, I'm hoping that you have enough life experience that the things you choose, you're not concerned about failure, because nothing is going to stop you. Your frame of reference to understand that you will be successful in something is based on your prior life experiences, that you have achieved something motivationally demanding that is inconsequential to this. So if you choose something, it should have paled in comparison to the things you have to do. The problem with this assumption that I'm making is that's not the world we live in today. That's not really the world we live in today. The internet has control over what you think you like, what you think you're interested in as well. Like, it has a heavy influence, right? So in the future, I need to refine what I'm saying and what I'm doing. I go in not necessarily liking HanziHero. I leave liking HanziHero. It's very different from nowadays, where you have to convince yourself to like something and trust something before you even use it, right? So in this case, no, people don't definitely, like a large majority, people do not make decisions based on their prior experiences. They are already predetermined by their exposure to the product. And I didn't live in that age, where when you're saying, I want to start playing a guitar, and then the first thing you do is, what's the best way to learn how to play a guitar? Like, and that answer is provided, right? It removes the possibility of anything you can possibly create on the spot. So why do I do this? Why do I stream this, right? Why am I streaming myself using HanziHero and Wanikani? The learning lesson here is that it doesn't have to look the same, right? It's to encourage people to be creative, even if a tool is already given to you. You are not bound by the vision of someone else. However, you can benefit and extract and learn from the experience of someone else. So yes, I'm technically trying to teach something. However, it has a very, very high gate. The gate is that I'm assuming and presuming anyone who's interested will already have the creative capacity to say, I can do that. Same, but different, right? So this is an observational, like, participation. If you're going along with me, when you're studying along with me, if you choose to do so, right, your study session should be different. It should look different. You should be saying like, oh, that's not how I remember things, but that's kind of neat that this person remembered things. You know what? Maybe we can combine both of them and make it even better, right? I'm getting closer to someone vicariously in a parasocial relationship, adding sentimentalism, but at the same time, you're motivated to do it your own way, right? So I am doing it inappropriately, probably ineffectively. However, I'm also practicing a different skill. I'm practicing how to keep myself motivated, consistent, and active. I don't think that's a thing that people who are focused on results will focus on. That is their choice. That is their prerogative, right? They can prescribe to you all the success possible, how successful already previously proven skills and methods, in the hope that you understand all the things along the way, like your motivation source and all that, right? When you walk into a classroom, you are a student and you are going to be taught by a teacher. These are things that are no longer normalized. When someone chooses to learn a language, do you know enough about this person? Like, how do they self-select themselves? And for myself, I do it through this. I demonstrate something, and those people self-select themselves. They select themselves out of things too. So when someone said, like Vang said earlier, like hundreds of viewers or thousands of viewers, that would be only appropriate if I didn't start self-selecting, right? So these are the gates that I placed on myself, and I think that's why it's been overly positive, a positive experience. And having that, that's what I envision would be the purpose of sharing this experience. You don't have to see everything. You can see something. The idea is you're not going to be able to see everyone's like experiences, but it also counters the hustle thing. Like I could tell you I did all these things and write out a schedule or something. However, there's no demonstration of it. What does it look like? I clearly am not someone who's so clairvoyant that I would be able to consider all the angles or all the things that might have lost in translation. Like, is it important for you to be explicitly told something? I'm not, but I wouldn't be able to know for sure if I would include that over time. Right? I want people to be more observational, in my opinion. Okay, yes, so more logarithmically, yes. It's good motivation for people who live, sedentary lives at the start of consistent fitness training will give you the most reward, yes. And then once you refine that, you're gonna need something else to keep it going. I feel like stepping through the door is the biggest lone mental challenge throughout the whole journey. For myself now, I would say I start a new skill a lot of times. I would say I would start like 2 or 3 skills a year. And oftentimes those 2 or 3 skills tend to be involved in my existing skills. My existing skills serve as a source of motivation to tackle getting your foot through the door and then maintaining it, right? However, after a while, once those skills are developed, they are integrated into my existing skills. And then I go on to build new skills. So like drawing, fundamentals of drawing, fundamental music production, 2D animation. These are, you can see them as separate or different, but what happens is they end up being part of my core. And there are skills that get lost, as in you might be saying, well, not all skills are winners, right? Yeah, there are loser skills. And then you're like, isn't that then a waste of time? Well, you wouldn't know if you didn't do it in the first place. So that's a paradox. So you wouldn't know your loser skills if you didn't do it in the first place. It's like, well, you can go on the internet and figure that out. It's like, that's a fair point. So you can be selective about your skills at the start. I didn't pick like just any skills. There is some self-selection. So then you might be saying, well, you're still losing time if you keep building skills and not focus on your specific skill that you're very good at, right? I'm focusing on this skill, whether I'm developing this skill or not. Your fundamental skills are being developed at all times. So you have 2 hot takes a lot of times when it comes to skill development. One is the success story, right? The young mind, and then an older success story would say, an older person would tell the young person, pick a skill. Focus on that. Do it until you are remarkable, right? Sell the skill. Right? That's when you're thinking about someone that's young, someone that is still looking for a fundamental skill. Usually school tries to help you with that, right? They throw a bunch of things at you and hope something sticks. And then you refine that in college and then refine that in graduate school and it sticks. Now, I'm no longer in that stage in life. So we have to keep that in mind. I have my fundamental skills. Now, all the other skills that I'm building is supposed to complement or add to my existing skills. So that's how I stay consistent. So not to reflect anyone else, I have a core number of skills where all my motivations come from, all my like comfort zone and stuff comes from. And every skill that I build up to this point is to augment my foundational skills, which deals with critical thinking, and problem solving. They're my favorite things. And how did I learn that they are my favorite things or my bread and butter? It's science. Science was my bread and butter. You had to do these things every single day. So, now hear me out. We have to go back a little. So, what is another way to view a waste of time when you have skills that don't factor out, right? Don't work out. And you were talking about stepping through the door is the biggest lone mental challenge. When you do skill development, in my opinion, when I do skill development, I do them annually. I do 2 to 3 skill experimentation annually. So I don't think it's as daunting to start something, largely because I normalized it. And when I practice starting things and stopping things, I learn to start and stop because I spend time doing that. Now, if you haven't started a new skill in a long while, like a second language, for example, what is the model that most people will use when they learn a second language? Their first language. But the gigantic caveat is you're no longer a kid. You're no longer a kid, right? You have no more innate obligations to learn a second language. And who are the most successful people who ends up learning a language? There are obligations. Now, whether they're innate or learned is a bit of a hairy thing. It's a combination of learned and innate. What does that look like? Your significant other, right? What if your significant other knows another language, right? What if you're connecting with your family? You have a multicultural family. That would be a personal example of myself. You suddenly develop a new interest, anime, manga, in another culture. Those are learned and potentially innate obligations to do that, right? And if you combine all of this, you haven't done this ever again. So now you're going to do this again. So it would present as one of the largest mental challenges through your whole journey. If you're a person who doesn't start and stop, people that have PhDs, people that are constantly in an intellectual environment are more prone to have a wider knowledge. Not in my opinion. Okay, for myself, I'll just describe myself. I don't think I am significantly more intelligent than anyone else. Like, I don't think I'm not significantly more intelligent than anyone else. As in, your capacity for curiosity, your capacity for motivation and figuring out self-awareness in order to propel yourself consistently, the capacity is there. There's really not the big, like a super barrier or some sort of genetic barrier that separates me from being consistent at starting new skills than you. to me, it's conditioned, it's normalized. If you're not constantly challenging yourself to start new things and then know when to stop and then continuing to do that and then, working on, okay, I gotta start a new thing. Let me do it better next time. And then your ending is like, let's find a better ending for how I do this. It's like, where does this end? Does it throw into my skill? So when you cycle through this, in my mind's eye, I have no doubt that a healthy human being is capable of bootstrapping even intuitively. Like if you go on feel alone, we'll still eventually find that starting again is less mental burden if you actually do it. So for example, I'll do like children, first child, right? How do you usually group the children? It's fairly close than the second child, right? Even in an innate obligation situation, humans are incredibly adaptive. Like, don't underestimate how well you adapt to things when you're invested in, given your investment in the stuff. So for me, I would drop most things in a hat for something more interesting. It's not I will replace the thing that I become less interested. So if you want to do a little bit of deductive reasoning or behavioral control, right? Like if you're wondering what type of behavior you're more prone to, oftentimes you can ask someone, when do they start new things? And we'll make it to language learning because we're language learning. Language learning. So yesterday, someone said, Duolingo sucks. I wanted to ask them, so when did you, like, what did you do? Like, did you try Duolingo and then you find something, you found out what you needed, and then you went to the next thing, like some Korean app, right? Korean solely app, Korean focused app. The idea is you started something, you figured out there's a lot of deficiencies, so and so, right? And it stopped, right? And it stopped, and then you figured it out. So now you're starting a new thing. Isn't it crazy? Because immediately this person actually named 4 different things. They named 4 different things. This is the honeymoon period. As in, your passion is so lit on fire right now. That first thing triggered an exploratory thing. That means it's quite healthy. Eventually, you'll learn something from all this. So they named 4 different things. They picked up a book. They have 2 separate apps. And it's not hard, starting over again when you have recently started over or you started something. So after the honeymoon period, that's fantastic. But then, you enter the valley of despair and you invest a lot. And then you ask yourself, how can I start over? And there are different types of people that you usually interact with. The ones that usually stay around with me are the ones that say, oh yeah, you know what's great about starting over? I feel young again. Like Valentine told me in Wanikani that they're about to reach level 10. I'm like, congratulations, you're about to become a teenager again. Isn't it great? So there are individuals who behaviorally respond to starting over very different. Now this might be, you might be saying, oh, this might be innate, as in not all humans, like humans just don't want to start over. Yes and no. Part of the human condition is that how long have you done this? Like, you obviously will not want to change something that have been putting out for many years. You can't teach a old dog new tricks idiom, right? So me, I'm going to be an old dog that will still continue to learn new tricks, because learning new tricks on top, both continuing to learn new things while reforming old things, keeps me young, keeps me mentally young. I'm far more relatable when I'm teaching something. Like, I'm not a 40-year-old. At least I don't think anyone ever figured out my real age when I was teaching or instructing, because what was I doing when I was around like my 20s to 30s, when I was like doing lab things? I was talking about League of Legends. So like I was still connected, right? I didn't stop saying, yeah, I'm too old for this. Like we shouldn't learn these things. That's a waste of time. Like, what's the point of learning about a video game that 7 out of 10 of your students will be familiar with? What is the point of needing to do that, to invest in some time on it? And it's gathering, when you think about skill development, right? Your best skill will look like this, but the delta on your best skill is forever. Like, you're going to be working on this skill for the rest of your life, and that delta is going to be very, very small. And that's mastery, right? That's the thing, you're looking for, that elusive mastery. However, every other skill to round up your current skill get bolstered. So most of the new skills that I'm looking at, I spend enough time to capture all of this, which takes a disproportionately lower amount of time. How can I get meh in Japanese? How can I get meh in Mandarin while continuing to bolster my English? So I'm making myself an appropriate person who could leverage a secondary language, leverage a tertiary language, but continue to not allow my primary skill to falter. So whatever I'm learning in Japanese and Chinese is to help reinforce my English. Japanese is older than Chinese, so I'm using Chinese to reinforce my Japanese. And then eventually Spanish is going to come along the way. I'm going to use Spanish to somehow reinforce my Chinese and Japanese and English until it's not manageable. Then you have to go through a refinement period and consolidate, right? The idea is you're constantly refining a skill that you're very good at, and also keeping yourself in a perpetual state of learning things. So yes, I love artsy fartsy things. Today I could love Attack on Titan, but tomorrow I could love Frien, because Frien is nothing like Attack on Titan, but it's also similar as well. The idea is you can find similarity and comparison through investment. So I aim for same. When I'm thinking of same, that's safe. And my safe thing, I have a safe thing in almost, I try to have a safe thing in almost everything I do. What's not safe right now? Japanese is not safe, but English is. Right? When Japanese becomes safer, Chinese is not safe, but Japanese is safer, right? And in Japanese, English is safer. And in Spanish, it's actually there's a little caveat here, which I've done cleverly to my advantage, right? Technically, I know the least about Japanese when I started. So when I started, I actually know the least about Japanese. Chinese is my second. I actually know more about Spanish than Chinese. I'm actually going in the reverse direction. So the hardest thing to start is Japanese. The second hardest thing to start is Chinese. The third hardest thing to start is Spanish. So the hard thing to start was actually this. However, it is the easiest thing to be consistent in. So that was my balance. That was my approach to balancing this is the hardest, but it's also the easiest to be consistent. So when I start new things, when I start Chinese, Spanish, and anything after, it's going to be easier to start. But it's probably going to be harder to be consistent because there's so much other things going on. So what happened for me is if I can't get my foot through the door in Japanese, then I'm unlikely to get my foot through Chinese or Spanish, right? I have no problems with consistency because I have English to hold it down. I don't know what it's like to start a new language anymore because English was all these things technically started way back before. So that's how I negotiated. In case I kind of went over this a little bit when I first started Duolingo. The very first Duolingo stream was probably when I talked about my relationship with language. And I do this constantly, over and over again. Do you think the refining stage, the difficult and the easy will motivate each other? Yes, exactly. The difficult and the motivated. Yes, that's it. So, hear me out. I understand this is gonna suck for some people. I don't think it will suck forever. If there isn't anything that's easy in your life right now, get it. Get something that's easy in your life. If there is not something hard in your life, get it. Get something that's hard in your life. Balance them out. Because, in my opinion, there are different skill sets involved in addressing something that's hard and addressing something that's easy. The downside right now that I see a lot of times is the internet makes it so that you can constantly choose easy things. And when I mean easy things, I don't mean the task itself, like the content itself. I'm talking about mental preparedness, like the mindset, right? If you look at a hard thing and you never pick up a hard thing, a thing that you initially think is hard, right? Initially, if you never pick up an initially hard thing, you don't know what your upper limit is. And if you're constantly let's say the opposite, if you're constantly picking up hard things, you don't know your lower limit. How are these useful? There's a time you need to relax, and there's a time you need to balls deep. Right now, this whole idea of best is awful, in my opinion. The idea of best has created a 1 and a 0 instead of a both. So when you're saying the best way is SRS, to me, that's a recipe for a consistency issue. I don't want to sound too pessimistic, so I'm only going to say this one time. This might occur. How you handle this, I believe a lot of people can handle this, provided their life is a balance of these things, right? If someone has something consistent in their life already, they can use that as a model to make something new consistent. If someone is very limited in their life experience, then yeah, they can't solve the problem. They'll feel like they can't solve the problem. And how would you go about teaching that? I show myself. Show it. Show a way to provide an example, right? And how do you make Duolingo engaging, for example, or more engaging than it is? That's what I did the last year. I at least attempted to try to do that. And occasionally someone would come by and say, "Oh, so this is what you do." It's like, maybe I should try that sometimes. Like, go and do it. I want to see your version of it. And then most of the other time it's like, I don't understand how you can grind this long. Like, what motivates you? Like, I would lose my mind. It's so boring. How could you have done this for 8 hours? And my first question would be like, do you know what I do in those 8 hours? Because what this person imagined I do in those 8 hours is probably very different from what I actually did in those 8 hours. And even then, if you're here for 8 hours, right? If you're here for 8 hours and you watch me do it for 8 hours, if no one asks me what I'm thinking and what I'm doing, I might not even be showing what's happening. I try my best to speak my mind out loud, like, oh, I made this mistake because of this. And in the beginning of each stream, I'm like, let me try to remember why and how I made the mistake. Not only do I spend time, right? I go down here, like today, I explain my typos. I explained everything, as opposed to, oh, I know the right answer. That doesn't matter. I know the right answer. This is table now. This is many, right? I know the right answer, so I don't need to go over it. So for me, I demonstrate it every time. Like, people say, but what if you made a mistake and I wasn't here to correct you and you're going to develop a bad habit? Like, but have you seen me solve a mistake? It's very different, right? Someone who fears making repeated mistakes, I actually spend most of the time talking to them about it. Because I don't understand. Like, what I mean is, I can't empathize with it. When you make a repeated mistake, then usually the first time, you would try to address the mistake. Then the second time. Then the third time. Then the fourth time. At some point, that mistake becomes refined in a way that it's either functional as a mistake, in my opinion, or it's no longer a mistake, right? So that incredible fear of correcting me all the time, to me, I want to show that with due diligence, I think most people should not be afraid of making mistakes. One of the things that come from this fear is decision-making process. Starting a language, imagine the greatest fear of a language learner. What's the greatest fear of a language learner? I would argue among the top 3 is never becoming fluent. And that's top 3. And obviously the people that are around me who like talk and ask and stuff, it's I would say that it's probably not the top 3 on theirs. For me, what is the top 3 fear I have? I end up disliking it. That's probably my top fear. I end up disliking it. Now, we're talking about top fear, as in, if it happens, it's incredibly negative. But that's the best one I can come up with. Like, think about it this way. This happens so often to people. It's no longer even a fear for most people. Like, hear me out. I know you're gonna say, well, some people's fear of disliking something is scary, right? Is scary. But there's a huge asterisk. There's a very huge asterisk. Their fear is they're gonna dislike something they like already or they love. That is the fear. I can't dislike or like something I haven't tried. So my greatest fear is I end up not liking it. And that is a possibility. Not that it's the end of the world, but generally speaking, people when they talk about their fear of dislike is like this is my only choice. My only choice. If I don't become a pro esports player and I end up disliking it, my world's going to end. That's the end. Like, I have to like this. So that's usually the asterisk when people talk about dislike. I find a lot of things, if I'm dependent on myself, there are things I are indifferent. I'm indifferent to them. The way I reduce this fear is because other people like it. It sounds weird, but I start things because other people like it. It's a bonus if I also like it. Right? Because it gets to the goal of understanding what other people like. So if I don't get to interact with anyone, like there's no one around me, then yeah, I start with the things I like. So even if people don't care about what I say or do nothing, I will continue to do things that I like. Not at the fear of disliking it, right? Like, oh, what if it's a waste of time? Like, what if I find out that my passion is a waste of time? What if I find out that I learned 3 languages and they're just a complete waste of time? Like, and no one cared. And so I was like, well, I like it. If you can't rely on yourself, that's why I go to other people. I go to my family, I go to my friends. That empathy is a fallback. I'm building, so resting, I think I said it earlier, resting on one's laurels. On one's laurels. So if things are working now, right? If they're working, awesome. Keep those things working, right? Oil them, refine them. Meanwhile, proactive things. I at the moment, I technically have no use for Japanese or Mandarin. As in, like, what I mean is, there's no obligatory reason that I chose Japanese or Mandarin. I chose it because I learned my obligations to it. So my proactiveness is I play video games. And some of them are in Japanese and Chinese. So what I already normally do as the core foundation of my skills, which is English and like investigating things like game theory and stuff, choosing to learn Japanese and Chinese is a proactive strategy, right? And it won't change that. English is working perfectly fine. That's what I'm saying. To myself. Maybe not to others. Others, I feel like it became a necessity, right? For example, I'm cherry picking. So I'm cherry picking these examples. So if you are thinking about counter arguments, make sure to keep them, right? I can think of a lot of counter arguments, but I'm gonna try to be a little bit more coherent here. A good example would be something like, I can no longer play games if I don't understand the Japanese. That's when something has become a necessity from a choice. I can no longer listen to English now that I know Chinese. I can no longer watch anime with the English dub because I learned Japanese. You will unlikely, very, very unlikely, find me saying that because I learned Japanese and Chinese because I know English. And I don't actively discard things to substitute them. To me, that's not extra. That's a necessity. You're replacing something. You can't play a video game in English anymore because you replaced it with Japanese. No, I play the video game in English and Japanese. I know more about the context of English now that I know Japanese, and I know the more about Japanese in the context of English now. So I'm inherently being proactive. Proactive things are doing things that are unnecessary, are optional. So you're practicing a different mindset. The reason why I say that is people operate on necessity. So you have to necessitate your hobby. That is very difficult, right? When someone forces themselves to continue liking a hobby, that is a vicious cycle. It's a vicious tightrope. When does learning Japanese become a necessity as opposed to a hobby? When someone says, I hate studying, or I'm so tired of studying, to take a rest. It's like, no, but if I take a rest, then I'm going to need to study that Japanese again and again and again. So it does turn into a necessity. For me, it hasn't. And I still haven't gotten to that point. Not yet, anyways. In your experience, do the majority of people stop at the low of motivation? From my experience, anecdotally, when I'm asking someone, so grain of salt, I would say 9 out of 10 times they don't. I think it's very natural. So when you say, if I can give you an example of low motivation, usually low motivation is often whatever they stopped, it's garbage. Whatever they're currently doing is the best thing since sliced bread. So this deals with deduction, so it might not always be accurate. The idea is I ask a specific question because I can't know them, right? So I phrase questions. Call it a Luminous test or something. Luminous test. It's to help inform myself. So if I only have like 5 minutes, what kind of questions can I ask the person in order to determine where their mind is at? Because I can make more efficient time with it. So in one way, what is an indicator of low motivation when someone stops? Whenever they talk about anything they've done before as garbage and waste of time. That's like money. That's a very safe bet. If when you ask them, oh, so how have you been learning a language, right? How have you been learning a language? And they start by stating all the things that were garbage in the past that they tried that didn't work. And then they proceed to talk about the current thing as it's the best thing since sliced bread. Like, this is the best thing. It teaches you everything. Like, it teaches you grammar and everything. That, in my opinion, is a point of low motivation. Largely because they're discarding things. This is not usually the case because 1 out of 10, right? There are chances 1 out of 10. Someone would say like, oh yeah, you know, I outgrew what I used to do. I learned that I need or I want other things, right? And then they will proceed to talk about how the current thing offers the thing that they outgrew. Alternatively, sometimes they continue to use both of the things, if not more, because their requirements increased, their experience increased, right? There's a reliance on growing growth. This is a constant substitution. Those who are predicated on motivation, in my opinion, motivation deficiencies, as in not like a we're not trying to make this sound like a disease. It's more like a skill set. How to pep one up. If their motivation is at 10, it stays 10 for the rest of their lives. Like they don't work on how to motivate themselves, you know? So what happens often is, in my opinion, in my experience, is if you learn something like Wanikani, all 10 of that goes into Wanikani. So there's no room for anything else. Everything else is blocked out. So if Wanikani is not the tool, the one tool to rule them all, it will likely fail in the long term. It will fail consistency check. Right? So what happens is then this person, low motivation sits in, they abandon Wanikani and substitute it for another thing. What is that? Anki. And now it's going to be Wanikani. Yeah, Wanikani just didn't work at all and it didn't do anything. Now it's Anki. And then they're describing all the things that they use for Anki. It's like, oh, that sounds like Wanikani though. It's like, no, it's completely different. Like now Anki has all these nuances that Wanikani didn't have. I know, but the core of Anki is Wanikani, right? Like this informed you. This experience informed you on how to do this. But because this person only has the motivation, a very limited motivation, they're focusing on one thing. Not like focusing on one method per se, right? And yeah, that is very effective. You can do that for the rest of your life. You can bounce from one to the other, provided that there's one big caveat and it gets to your goal before you have to start over too many times. Because at some point, you're going to say, nah, I don't want to start over. I'm good. I'm good enough. And that's usually a reach of satisfaction, right? So this person is going to keep on straddling tools until there's that one tool that gets you to your goal before you lose all motivation. And what does that tool look like? The most trendiest thing since sliced bread. So if Duolingo doesn't work because Duolingo is old now, which technically Duolingo uses an old archaic strategy, get to the new stuff. And this is also something funny. Someone could start with the new stuff and reintroduce an old stuff and title it, dude, why hasn't anyone told me about this? Or why hasn't this caught on? And it would be like some old school, like a something that's older than what they're currently doing. But hear me out. This is new to the guy that used this new thing, which has become old. And that's what a lot of links, like when people say, oh, have you heard this guy talk about this new thing? What's a new thing on MAKU or something? That's the new thing right now. That's probably the new thing. Boom Pro is relatively a trendy thing in a certain series, right? Why is Boom Pro so trendy? Well, people, when they look for grammar stuff, they're like, oh yeah, Boom Pro is the best thing since sliced bread because it helps with grammar. The question is, are you using both? Or do you only make time for Boom Pro and everything else is garbage? So to me, that's the telltale sign. That's one of the, it's a cherry-picked example, but I'd say a lot of examples, when I ask questions, I determine if that person is open to discussing anything in general, right? How does this serve my purpose? If I'm meeting someone who substitutes all the time, then respectfully, this person is narrow-minded. And when I mean by narrow-minded, there's a euphemism for this. This person is incredibly hyper-focusing. So narrow-minded to me is a state of mind in which you're really, really focused on something. So if I want to talk to that person, I have to know about that thing. Otherwise, I can't relate to them and they won't relate to me. They're going to be gone the moment I mention anything that isn't of their interest. So if someone says Anki is the best, everything is garbage, and I don't know anything about Anki, my first remark is, I'm sorry, I'm inexperienced with Anki, but I do have other things that I've been using. That person is probably gone already. 9 out of 10 times that person's already left. It's very different when someone comes by and say, hey, I've been doing all of these over a course of three months and 6 months or something. It's like, oh, hey, we can overlap in some stuff. Let's talk about that stuff, right? They are more likely to be able to communicate. And people who substitute everything, all the past experiences are not important. Or, I'm not going to say not important, less important to them, right? There's no perspective on how you got to this point. It's the goals. When someone tells you like, oh, if you make this mistake, for example, if you make this mistake, it'll prevent you from learning Japanese. It'll prevent you from learning this properly. And my first thought is, how do you know this? How do you know that it will prevent me? And their first remark would be something like, I have been there. Trust me, bro. They don't actually literally say that. They say it in a different way. It's like, you're going to regret it. Heed my words. And my first thought is, so you're telling me that you had the same problem, and now you are the competent Japanese speaker, and you're telling me that somehow I will be different from you, but you're telling me I'm the same as you in the flawed state, but don't have any capacity to reach where you are. That to me is a substitution behavioral pattern. So somehow this person is telling me, don't make that mistake because I made that mistake. But unlike me, I learned how to correct that mistake and became who I am. But you on the other hand, you'll regret it and never learn from it. This is probably my, if I had a peeve if I had a peeve about double standards, it's probably this one. Like, I don't talk to people as though they are the worst part of me, and then somehow make myself sound exceptional so that it's the best part of me that you have no access to. if there's any take-home message in this digression today, is that the last time I said is, I don't think I'm significantly more intelligent or have any hidden potential because I was born with better genetics or something like that. I humbly and respectfully believe and challenge other people that they have the same or very, very similar, like not statistically different potential to do most of the things that I'm talking about now. And through demonstration, I like to believe that that is one more visible way of doing it. Generally speaking, though, my interaction is that people like to see the worst in people on their outcome and provide a double standard that they themselves aren't the product of the things they say. So all the advice and all the things that I'm talking about now is the result of my interactions with those actual things. So if I said that I can learn from this mistake, or I have learned Japanese by making a lot of mistakes, I'm not going to be telling you somehow like, oh, if you follow my plan, you'll never make these mistakes. And therefore, that's how you become just like me. That is oxymoronic. That is so paradoxically, that logic is so cyclic. I can't believe it. Like, in my opinion, like if I had a peeve, but cue the influencer that says, follow my 10-step plan and you would never make any of the mistakes and problems that I have. And therefore, somehow your experience, you'll reach my understanding by pretending and avoiding that you'll never have those experiences. Like, oh, okay, but where do I sign up? My punchline. Where? Okay. How about this? I like you. Where do I sign up for that? Because your product is telling me to do everything that you haven't done and hope that whatever you say is going to happen. That's simply not true, right? That's for the hustle, the person that's hustling you, in my opinion. Alternatively, lots of people would suggest things like, oh, here are some metrics. These are some metrics that I measure. When you use my product or my strategy, please remember that these metrics are set there to gauge if something is different, right? You need metrics in order to understand and appreciate your progress. This is something that's independent of my experience. So if you're avoiding these mistakes, there is no guarantee that different alternative mistakes are going to take their place. And I would like to know what they are, because that provides feedback to my product, right? If it does so happen to work out, thank you, and I'm glad it worked out for you. In no way is this a substitute for changes that may happen if you're affecting the changes. So those YouTube videos about top 10 mistakes to avoid. When you hear those mistakes, it's almost like it's a win-win situation. As in, if you avoid these 10 mistakes, somehow you're gonna get the same result that that person who's saying those mistakes will get you to. And my answer to that is, it's probably going to make it even less likely, because you didn't learn from those mistakes. Functionally, when people tell you to avoid something, what are you replacing? Now, there are ways to go about this, right? Someone could say, okay, my first mistake. Can I explain to you how I learned and recovered from this mistake? Like, this is what the mistake has taught me. I want to show you what this mistake showed me. So then the learning experience is at least transferred in some way. When someone explains to avoid this and explain nothing but how it's bad, you have no inclination or information about how that was even useful in the first place. The person you're taking advice from does not learn from the mistakes. Now, if that guy, right, that guy that you're listening to doesn't learn from their mistakes and then they're telling you to avoid the mistakes, then kudos. That actually translates. That's very concordant, right? If the person is a person who makes a mistake and say, okay, I'm never going to do that again, done, then yeah, that would coincide. I highly doubt that the majority of people, when they say these are my 10 top mistakes, that those mistakes did not make them. As in, make them the person they are now. So, if I read a very prominent person's top 10 mistakes, if they don't explain how their mistake impact them, I would try to do that. Ask yourself, in my opinion, right? I see this guy's top 5 mistakes. And they say, this mistake is bad because of the following reasons. I'm like, okay. So if those are the following reasons, how did this guy learn from these mistakes? Like, so this must have taught this guy not to do this. This is the consequence of doing this. Why do you think mistakes naturally make people inclined to leave what they made the mistakes in? Do you think it's just the fact that it's a struggle? Wait, why do I think... Hold up, I forgot to read your other. Do you think that coming up with metaphorical ways to talk about learning helps you explain the idea or actually helps you to learn, or both? I find it engaging. So ultimately, it helps me. Like, what I mean is, it gives me more motivation. So, for me, since motivation, in my opinion, is the currency to learning, I do it habitually. Learning, creating metaphors is a creative process, or coming up with metaphors. So it's a creative process. And I think creative process is less to be exhausted than a prescribed process, a mechanical or objective process. Objective and mechanical processes will have efficiency attached to them, and objective facts that you can only reinvent the wheel so much. However, metaphors are a creative process, so it's a lot less finite, if not infinite. Why do I think mistakes naturally make people inclined to leave what they made the mistake in? Do you think it's just the fact that it's a struggle? No, I don't think that. I don't believe that. It's quite the opposite. I don't think people do that. The impression I'm getting is that. So the impressions that I get from people is that in order for someone, this is my logic here, so there's gonna be a leap of logic in here, so excuse me. Someone, in order for them, like, this is my logic for their behavior. Stranger, right? Stranger immediately tells you that you will regret a decision, or they observe something like a mistake and they will correct it immediately. In fact, some have emotional distress over this, and it's presented in different ways. In order for a stranger to do this to another stranger, what is necessary to get this emotional distress? Right? So I'm not necessarily saying I believe in it. In order to explain this behavior, I am inferring that when someone makes a mistake, it is likely to propagate into a bad habit. So for me, the people that I have met, it's difficult for me to believe, to try to rationalize another more likely scenario. As in, if someone said, oh yeah, I like correcting mistakes, I correct all my mistakes, right? A person like that is less likely to experience emotional distress when seeing another person make mistakes, largely because they make mistakes and correct them themselves. It's like, oh hey, you made that mistake. Yeah, I've been there too. It's like, I would love to hear how you overcome this mistake. I have my own ways. If you're interested, I can share my way, and maybe we can bounce off ideas off each other, right? Because it's not a place of emotional distress. In order for someone to get emotional distress, an urge to correct someone because you're going to regret your mistakes or use strong languages, they themselves have to believe that something is going to happen to the other person, right? Without even knowing them, actually. Most of the time, it's without even knowing them. It's like, hey, I heard you were an English speaker. Then you shouldn't start Chinese. Chinese is too hard, because I heard, like, according to the tier system, if you're an English speaker, you shouldn't even start with Chinese. Start with something easier, like Spanish or French, because Romance languages are a little bit closer to English, even though English is like Anglo-Saxon and Romance combined, right? So that requires to understand that the other person is thinking, how would you suggest, how would one suggest that someone would say that to a stranger? They probably have something to do with starting something. And that starting something may be predominantly preference for easy, right? And that easy is characterized by quote unquote objective metrics online. In no way is this going to predict everything about a stranger, but I like to pay attention to people's comments first, because I think it's the best thing I can do. Pay attention. It's the thing that I want to pay back. When someone is concerned about my well-being, maybe a habit formation off of a mistake, I would like to try to pay attention to where that's coming from, right? Why do you think you have to correct my mistake? I want to know. And then they'll try to explain it, right? They'll try to explain it. And through the process of explaining it, I will learn a lot. I will learn a lot from where their apprehension comes from. Do they in fact struggle with it or not? Like, I can't answer those questions. I say it would be a likely case. It's a logical case that they may do that, right? And this is where I learn most of the time, from my deductions. Deductions change over time, though. The internet changes, behavior changes. At least I think, like, behavioral idiosyncrasies change because the internet creates a lot of different social trends, and that's cool. That means I get to get on the internet, stream, and get challenged in those situations. The word I would use very loosely is projection. Someone who has a very strong emotional attachment to a specific trigger tend to project their circumstances. I could be smiling, I could be laughing, I could be drawing something on screen to help me solve a mistake, and that person will still feel very, very uncomfortable and tell me like, you're going about it the wrong way. This is the way to prevent this mistake from ever happening again. That there is a very disconnected moment, right? Like when I'm reviewing Duolingo, which I should have started 2 hours ago. Don't worry about it. When I'm reviewing Duolingo, the first thing someone says is Duolingo sucks. So what does that tell me about that person? Well, it tells me a lot of things, but I might as well ask them. Why is that? Just so you know, that person's response was Duolingo is the worst. And I'm like, okay. This is where I said the thing that they probably left after this. I don't want to I want to be a little bit more forward with you, but if you're using language like this, I can't understand anything. Like, it doesn't explain anything to me. So, with the most respect I can have, I can't really talk to you or exchange ideas if your generalizations are constantly like this, right? So then I proceeded to explain like, oh, this is how you evaluate things and whatnot, but that person was already long gone. So usually that's what happens. And fictitious is obviously joking because I know fictitious. Anyways, it'll be interesting. Sorry, you went to the toilet. Are you talking about me? Oh, no. I just kept going. I was talking about the inclined to make mistakes thing. I think a lot of times it's projection. Projection is a great way. We'll end with one thing. And then I had to do my Duolingo thing, so it would take like 3 hours. Happy dollars. When someone projects, I can't really talk with. Oh no, that was the example. I would. No. That was the example. So projection. I expect, and I think it's healthy. I think it's incredibly healthy, but it can be problematic depending on how you're like who you're projecting at. For me, project away. I think it's healthy. If you're upset with Duolingo betraying your expectations, that's fair. I have happy dollars to pay for this. So if you're projecting and you're saying, Duolingo sucks, I need 100 happy dollars. 100 happy dollars. Here, I'll give you 100 happy dollars. So you can yell at me because I'm using Duolingo. And hear me out. I'll throw in 50 extra happy dollars. Please explain to me. Explain to me why Duolingo sucks. I may never see that happy dollars again. And in this case, yesterday, I didn't. That person left. Right? They didn't want to talk about it. It's like, oh, that's a shame. Like, it's pretty clear to me after 4 or 5 statements that the reason they even came across my channel was that I had Duo in the background of my canvas. Otherwise, I'm not even in the Duolingo section. They could have also typed Duolingo because my channel, my stream title has Duolingo in it. They are learning Korean and Hangul at that probably. So whatever I was writing on the screen, that was Hanzi. So there are not many logical ways that this person would have came across and be interested unless they said, oh yeah, I was just randomly bouncing around channels. It's like, wow, that's a lot of random. I don't know if you know how many people are in the co-studying and co-working section of Twitch, but that is some statistics that stars aligned. So if the stars align, Here's 50 happy dollars. I'll pay for your 100 happy dollars. Say Duolingo sucks. Now explain it to me. Voice it out, you know? Tell me you understand why Duolingo sucks. Because then we can have a common ground. Because I don't know Korean. I haven't used the 4 things you listed in Korean, like for Korean. We can talk about Squid Game, right? But my segue from Duolingo to Squid Game is because Duolingo had a sponsor collab with Squid Game 2. So that was going to be my segue. I have no experience with that. I asked the person, oh, how does this app work? And they instead choose their time to say how much Duolingo sucks instead. And my thought was, okay, so this person really, really wanted to tell me that Duolingo sucks. They're projecting their dismay with Duolingo. So my next step was, have you used Duolingo for Chinese? Maybe I can say something about Duolingo Chinese that is different from Duolingo Korean, because I can't say anything about Duolingo Korean. I legitimately said that in the beginning. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have any experience, but we can talk about something that has a common ground. Right? Feels bad, but we tried. Happy dollars for everyone. All right. Now I really need to go into the thing. So that's the end of HanziHero. Sorry guys, if you're not interested in this type of talk. I think it's very necessary. If you're not having a conversation like this with yourself, some people don't believe in internal monologues. Have a conversation with your close friend or another language learner. I think surrounding yourself with very encouraging, not praising. There's also a story for another time. The difference between praising and encouraging. I think an external source, when your motivation fails, right? There are external sources. Having this conversation is a natural part of the language learning process, in my opinion. If you're not having these discussions, fingers crossed. You might not need any of these quote unquote useless skills because they no longer apply to you, right? If you're successful in learning Chinese and Japanese without ever encountering these problems, who am I to stop you from doing that, right? So most of this stuff, I think I get on to stream and study in order to talk about this stuff too. I still get my job, I still quote unquote hit my whatever things I need to do and then some, largely due to the nature that I have these discussions. I know what motivates me. I know why things don't work for me at the time and how to make them work. If they simply don't work at all, then I know how to overcome it and use it as an selection factor or a way to determine what my next step is. Generally speaking, that becomes more of a mental norm when you actually do it. When the internet suggests you can always do the right thing all the time, the least practiced skill you have is probably solving a problem. Like having a disagreement with someone, which is kind of a zero-sum game at this point, right? On the internet, negotiating disagreements and willingness to share and mutually share opinions and exchange ideas, that's a zero-sum game now on the internet, in my opinion. 70 to 80% of the time, it's a zero-sum game. It's whoever leaves first, whoever gives up first, and it's a fast zero-sum game. Like, oh, okay, you said something I disagree with, I'm out. No, and then end. No potential. There's no potential at all. And what happens is that person will take their disagreements and go find someone that confers with them. And then that other person persists and go find someone that consoles them. I analyze it. And then I share it. So that other person must really, really hated Duolingo. I hope they're discovering their expectations are met with their new app and their new investments. And good luck with them. Maybe 100 and, you know, maybe a year later, we might cross paths again. And it would be a really wonderful opportunity to reflect on what that person struck me as someone who just started Korean, maybe like 2 years in. I mean, not 2 years in, sorry, 2 months in at most. So they probably spent like 2 weeks on Duolingo, and it's like, no, let's go invest in this. So immediately bought like subscriptions to 2 apps, picked up a book, honeymoon period. That's my guess, but we'll never know. Well, I may never know, because zero-sum game. That person didn't want to stay to talk about it, and I have nowhere to go, obviously, because I was still streaming. So it's not me who left, it's the person who left. And that's my happy dollars, right? I'm the one who's dishing out happy dollars, and I will do it again. If that person comes back, I will continue to do that again. I try not to give up on people. I don't think the internet is there's enough parasocial relationships to make a child want to never talk to anyone ever again. It can make the internet has a remarkable ability to make adults and much older people feel so insignificant in their daily lives. I don't think I need to add to that. So that's probably my final statement for today on the whole. If everything seems confusing and you're being nuanced, I think, I hope that everyone has someone. If you're not motivated, they can motivate you, right? And then when you're motivated, you can motivate them. And that seems like a bare essential, I would say. So that person could be your parent. Like sometimes it could be a start of a new friendship with your parent, right? It's untapped resources. So find your source of motivation. Your rock could be your significant other, right? Your best friend could be your rock. I chose to illustrate a more pragmatic standpoint with like English and learning, but there are other people too. People can provide your rock as well. Motivation through learning together would be another source of motivation. So hopefully that's a more positive spin. I do not prefer to end on a cynical talking point. So, and I will, if it sounds very, you know, some people do find me mansplaining a lot, or like they think I'm mansplaining. That's fair enough. And maybe I might sound a little condescending because I'm usually smiling when I'm talking about these things. But for every person that I might trigger, I think there are far more people that would benefit from someone smiling and saying, it's tough, but you got this. As opposed to, oh yeah, dude, seriously, just give up. Nah. Or if you're going to go in this, you fail big, okay? If you think you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail trying. Then I'm gonna smile along the way, and then we're gonna, you know, just gonna kick it in the butt. If you fail, bring back company. Go grab some friends and start kicking the Hanzu in the butt. Earlier, someone said that Hanzu was kicking their butt, and I'm like, nah. Go grab some friends and go kick the Hanzu back. All right. This is the end of the HanziHero section. Good talk. I feel like now I'm bouncing between Pro Call later in the day and Gecko early in the day, so we're gonna have to negotiate some time or something. Hey, it's 6 a.m. You gotta go to sleep? Yeah. It's been great. Yeah, it's been great chatting. I hope you're doing well with everything, Prokal. I haven't really gotten the opportunity to ask you about how things are going. So hopefully you're sleeping well. Seeing that so late. Hopefully your sleep schedule is sustainable. This is an excellent chat. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about deeper things. Yeah. Alright, folks. Conclusion, HanziHero. Thank you for chilling. If you're gonna watch this later, 谢谢, right? So for HanziHero section, 下次再聊吧, right? Chat next time. I'm gonna get up, go to the bathroom quickly, and we're gonna knock this out. We're gonna knock at least 15 constructs out before the end of the day. We're gonna solidly have 3 hours. Yeah, you do get into some bad habits, but you'll be more strict about getting to sleep early when I get back from break. Yeah, take care and enjoy your break. Enjoy your break. Thank you, folks. I'll be right back.